Former Nuggets coach Michael Malone feeling the heat, now taking shots at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because of it. My, how the tables have turned. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, this is funny. Michael Malone got himself in trouble making some comments about SGA being the MVP, and this man is backpedaling like no other.
Well, he's, to be fair, he's not the coach anymore. He can say whatever he wants, right? But no, yeah, he backpedaled a little bit, just a little bit. He called Shai a free throw artiste, so that's interesting.
So here's what people in Denver were particularly upset about. Michael Malone, by the way, he's doing some TV work and things like that now that he's not coaching the Denver Nuggets. Mm-hmm. He said, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander showed us why he's the MVP. This was during the game 1 victory that the Thunder had over the Wolves. Said he took over in the second half and all of that. But Nuggets fans were upset, saying, wait a second, you were campaigning just a few weeks ago for Jokic to be the MVP. Now you're saying SGA showed us why he's the MVP. Well, he already backpedaled a little bit from that. He said that I did vote. If I had a vote, I would have voted for Nikola Jokic. I want to make sure people in Denver knew that. So there was time passed there, and he felt the heat. All of the former people that were fans of his in Denver gave him a bunch of heat. He got a bunch of pressure, and he very quickly backpedals there. Now, though, he's gotten to the point where he's actually calling out SGA. And to me, it feels like a little bit of overkill. So here's what he just recently said. He called him a foul artist, like you said, Donnie. He's a foul artist, as I mentioned earlier today. So discipline, you're hoping that the referees read how the game is being whistled after allowing you to be a little bit more aggressive. You can do that. But once again, he's been living at the foul line. 14 free throw attempts, 15 tonight. That's not going to get it done. Is this the comments of a man who got scolded for supporting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or is there the ring of truth to what he's saying here?
I mean, I think both can be a little true. It's weird. Like, I don't think that it's that big of a deal that he said he showed us why he's the MVP, because, I mean, spoiler, he is the MVP. Like, if you could disagree with it, that doesn't mean he's campaigning for Jokic or whoever else to have won it. I mean, Shai is the MVP, and he's showing you why. Like, I think that's perfectly fair and fine to say. I don't think that's something anybody should have been really upset about. I don't think that's, again, campaigning for a certain thing to happen. But on the topic, I mean, with him, with Jokic, I think it's just kind of weird also because Jokic had one of the best seasons that you'll ever see, and he didn't win MVP. So I can understand why, from that perspective, Nuggets fans specifically would feel some kind of way about it. But yeah, the free throw thing we'll have to elaborate a little bit more on for sure.
Yeah, and we'll get to that right after this. There's nothing like seeing a playoff game in person. That's why I'm thrilled to have SeatGeek as the sponsor of this video. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are over 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Right now, you can get tickets to the MLB season and the NBA playoffs. And I love going to live events using SeatGeek. For me, it's about the value. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So you look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. I love that. Takes all of the worry out of buying tickets. And I came through for you guys. Use our code Bulletin10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code Bulletin10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Again, big shout out to SeatGeek. Super thrilled to have them on as a sponsor for the Basketball Bulletin. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the whole SGA thing, because there's a lot of fans right now that are very quickly pivoting the Thunder into the villain role. Right now, they're one of just 4 teams remaining, and currently they are the heavy favorite to win the NBA championship this year over the field. They're favorites over the field right now, and that's the Wolves, the Knicks, and the Pacers, and I think rightfully so. Donnie, based on how we've seen the Thunder play so far in this series, yes, we can say the Wolves have missed some shots, and they absolutely have. They've shot terribly. Naz Reid, the Laker killer, has not made a 3 in 2 games yet. He's over, I believe, over
Go
12.
figure.
In this, go figure, right? Go figure. But that being said, I still think the Thunder are the better team. They're playing phenomenal basketball. They're probably going to win the NBA championship this year. But a lot of fans taking shots. They don't like the way the Thunder play. They don't like the physicality they get away with. They don't like the whistle they do get, particularly Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So is Michael Malone, is this sour grapes, or does he have a point here that SGA is a foul artiste, as he calls him?
Yeah. I mean, I think it could be a little bit of both. That's something I wanted to say, but I knew we needed to cut to the thing. So, I kept it short. But for Malone, I mean, he just lost to him. Or his team just lost to him, right? So maybe he watched that from afar and was like, these are my guys. They went down, all that stuff. And they made it a series. It was at 7. So maybe he felt some kind of way about that. But regardless, aside from that, I mean, the free throw thing is just kind of weird overall because it's mostly Shai. And I can't believe you're showing this highlight of flopping. I saw this the other day and I fell out of my chair laughing.
There's some bad ones here. There are some bad ones.
It is, and then when you see the times that like the coaches talk about it and stuff, it's weird because it's mostly Shai that gets away with it. The other guys aren't taking a bunch of free throws. There's a lot of games where their team as a whole doesn't shoot a ton of free throws. It's just Shai who gets there, and he doesn't even, if I remember correctly, lead the league in free throws. He may be leading playoffs at this point, but I didn't know if he led the league in the regular season. But he was definitely up there, regardless. But I think, like we mentioned last video, I think a lot of people don't really like this team because they feel like certain players get a leeway to defend a certain way. Like Dort and Caruso can be extremely physical. And then I can't believe this is on loop. It's super
I'm just going to let it keep rolling.
It's super distracting.
Like looking at this, you're just like, oh my God, this man is a monster. When you're looking at the plays we're seeing right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looks like the biggest a-hole we've ever seen, right? With these plays.
I'm trying to make a point, and I'm like starting to talk in circles. I can't land the plane because I just keep saying all the flops. So
here, I'll put up. This is free throws per game in the playoffs. SGA is 3rd behind Giannis Antetokounmpo and Donovan Mitchell. Those guys have obviously gone home in terms of free throws attempted per game right now. So there's that.
You set me up for failure. But yeah, he's basically the biggest villain in the NBA right now. Like that's all I see is anybody talking about Shai and free throws. The post about him winning MVP was crazy. All the replies were or jokes about him flopping his way to the award or all this other. It's crazy, man. I don't know if I've seen anybody get that much flop backlash since Trae Young in his flop peak or Harden. Like I don't know if anybody's really gotten that before.
And some of the stuff that we saw in that highlight reel that I played was in some ways Harden-esque or Trae Young-esque when it comes to being the guy that creates the contact. Mm-hmm. I will say that when you watch the games, are there moments where he does that stuff? Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's doing it every possession. He's an incredibly talented player. Look, there's a reason why if you took free throws away, he's still leading the NBA in scoring. Like it's not like he's manufacturing his superstardom by getting to the free throw line, and that's the only thing. He's an incredible, and I think that needs to be mentioned. Like he is an incredible player, but to some people that makes it even more frustrating because they're saying, yeah, he's already good, so he doesn't need to do this crap.
Yeah. That's true, and it was true for Harden as well. But it still did it anyway, because it's an advantage. Why wouldn't you take an advantage of an advantage? But with Shai, he's like. He's one of the most like crafty or shifty. I don't know how to describe it.
Slithery.
I was gonna say wiggly, slithery. He's able to get to these spots on the floor and just work his way into these little crevices to where you, as a defender, you don't really have many options. And if you even, and that's where it's like too, like sometimes if you even like touch him, he is going to get to the free throw line. Maybe as a defender, you're just frustrated by that. But he put himself in a position to where you didn't have a choice but to foul him a lot of the times. And again, sometimes he'll create the contact, things like that. It's just super interesting to watch the way that he maneuvers around the basketball court. Very unique.
Very unique. But then again, you get stuff like this here.
I'm not trying to make it sound like he doesn't, take a dive every
now. Oh, he does. Like, look here. And sniper. Down he goes. Right for nothing, right?
But like
For
you
no-
can find this with a lot of players, though. That's the thing.
exactly.
That's why
That's true.
I'm not like villainizing Shai, because I could list off 10 other players that are going to do that on a night to night basis.
Well, and the NBA, I think, has done a decent job, at least removing some of the most egregious stuff. Now, obviously, we've seen some really bad stuff from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but it was
Yeah.
like nightly. We were seeing just terrible stuff from
Oh,
Harden, from Trae Young, from some of the other guys out there. The whole like jumping backwards into defenders and all that kind of stuff. Just the total nonsense. And that's where I think they actually have backed off a little bit with calling it where it's not a natural shooting motion. I liked
yeah.
where it was initially. Anything that wasn't what you actually look like when you're shooting, they were going, nope, offensive foul, getting rid of that. I think we need to get back to that, to really strictly enforcing that, because this whole like, I'm going to jump sideways into somebody to shoot the ball, that
I hate
obviously should
those.
not be. Yeah,
I hate
that's awful. The
It's
leg
those
kick
ones.
stuff.
Yeah, the leg kicking, the stop in front of you stuff. And what Shai does do is he's got that Manu special where he'll hook your arm, run by you and just hook your arm. He does that a lot. And that type of stuff I don't like either. Where it's just like, it's an old veteran move. Manu used to do it a lot, Chris Paul a lot, where they run by you, hook you a lot. But all the stuff that like is artificial, leg kick, stop in front of you, all that stuff, I don't like any of that stuff.
No, yeah, I don't like that stuff either. But here, this is shameless, right? Watch
He does
Jalen
it right
Brunson.
here too.
Watch Jalen Brunson. Watch what Jalen Brunson does.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I hate that type of
He
stuff.
hit himself in the face.
You see the response from Neesmith? He's like, hey.
He took Neesmith's arm and smacked himself in the face with it to
And
try to get a call.
And Jalen like plays it off like, oh, I got hit in the face. Like, yeah, you did, but you made yourself get hit in the face.
I think this is where, look, big picture, Donnie, whether it's SGA, whether it's Jalen Brunson or something like that, like
The
find
tweet
these
is
guys.
crazy. You have
Find these
24
guys
hours
after
to
the fact.
respond.
Look, I don't fault referees for not seeing stuff like that. Like that in live action, the human eye is not capable, right? There's too much stuff happening too fast on the floor. I don't blame refs for missing stuff like that, but we see it after the fact. The guys need to get fined. The NBA needs to call these guys out. They need to find them publicly, make it embarrassing, find them, show the play that got them fined, post it on social, do all of that, and really put a stop to it if you really don't want to see it. The one thing that SGA does that I really don't like, it's the straight line drive. He's got a straight line to the basket and veering off course to hit a defender, and then he does the bump and then jump away from the guy and float up the shot to try to get an and one, and he gets that whistle every single time. I think defenders are allowed to exist. They're allowed to physically take up space on the floor, and too often we penalize guys for not being a ghost, right? Like they just because they physically exist, they're penalized because of the way the game's officiated. I'd like to see that changed, but going back to Michael Malone, I do think that Malone is he's jumping on the anti-SGA bandwagon here because he wants to distance himself from that MVP comment.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't feel like he has to. So what? I don't think it's a campaign, like I was saying. Like just because he said he showed why he's the MVP, I don't think that really matters. You know what it is? If I'm Malone and I personally I'm standing on it, but if I wanted to distance myself from it, it's not because of Denver fans. It's because Shai is just like he's got no motion. Like you don't want to be associated with Shai right now because everybody kind of hates him outside of the town he plays for.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I would distance myself. It's because everybody hates Shai right now. Not because of Nuggets fans being like, oh, what about Jokic? I don't care about that. Like, that doesn't mean he doesn't think Jokic was also worthy as well.
Is this, are the Thunder on the verge of becoming the next great villain team in the NBA?
Oh,
like, as a team, is that what they are?
If they win, I think for sure. If they get bounced, I think people would take it as a humbling. But if they win, for sure, because and I don't really have a problem with it personally, but I did see a lot of people throughout the year that were bothered or rubbed some kind of way about the way that they carry themselves, like all the group post interviews and all that type of stuff, and just some people just didn't like it. So I think that I think they're just having fun personally, and I don't really mind it, but I think that type of stuff, all the flopping, just the negative sentiment around the team, I think will be taken to the next level if they wind up winning, and people are just going to hate them ultimately and be rooting for their downfall, as typically happens with the champion, but it's going to be amplified.
It will be amplified indeed. This is the kind of play I'm talking about here with SGA. I mean, getting into
Like nothing even happened there. Like
yeah, he's getting shoulders past the defender, right? He could just go straight to the basket. Instead, takes the step and then
like
flows the other way, right?
he like loses his footing too. Like I don't. What's the
Yeah.
point of this?
It's stuff like that
Yeah.
that you hate seeing. But yeah, I do think this is the next great villain team in the NBA, particularly with how they defend, how physically they defend, how aggressively they defend, and what SGA is doing on the offensive end of the floor. Does he flop? Absolutely. Are there things that the NBA needs to clean up? 100%. They absolutely do. So when Michael Malone is calling him a foul artist, yeah, he is. I kind of wish he didn't do that stuff because there's so many other elements of his game that are so good that now people aren't going to respect that part of his game now that there's such a spotlight being shined onto the flopping.
Yeah, he's like a throwback superstar though because of the way he likes to get to the mid-range, take those shots, and how we've mostly gone away from that. I think on My the Game they talked about it a couple episodes back where like that shot's dead, but not for your stars. Your star players, your playmakers need to be able to get to and make and take those shots, and that matters for those players. And I think Shai is like the best at that in the NBA. I trust him just whenever, just go ahead and take that. And he's great at getting to the spots he wants to, like I talked about previously. And he's got an awesome game. I just wish he didn't lean on that piece of it so much. And I don't know if you heard it, but like last week, Doris called him a flop merchant, basically.
Yeah,
She's like, that's why a free throw merchant. She was like, oh, that's why people on Twitter call him a free throw merchant. I was like, man, that's insane. And you got Doris Burke talking about you like that live on the broadcast. Basically, that's just insane. And I don't know if this leads itself into this at all or if it matters. Maybe it's a market thing, but the ratings were down for this series between them and the Wolves, and then they were way up for the other series. Do you think that matters at all? Like, just people don't want to watch Shai, or is it a market thing? Both? What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a play style thing where like Knicks Pacers, we knew going in, oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a shootout,
And
right?
that's
like
the freaking Knicks, right?
Right, exactly. And it's the Knicks, and it's a big market, and all of that. And then we wound up getting the all-time great game one that we got. But part of it, I think, is definitely market size. Where you've got and part of it too is like, has the NBA, like, if you went up to a casual fan on the street, right? Maybe somebody who's not even really a basketball fan, but just has some understanding of the sports world, it is more likely that they've heard of Anthony Edwards than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah,
I believe that to be true because the NBA has done more to market Anthony Edwards than they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Right or wrong, it's what they've done. Now SGA is the MVP. Maybe that changes things, but even so, there's not a lot of people going, ooh, I can't wait to see what SGA is going to do out there. Anthony Edwards, and part of it too is the style of play. You talk about the mid. What's funny is we've got all these people saying, oh, they take too many threes in today's NBA, and they're clamoring for that era where it was a lot of mid-range shooters. Well, SGA takes all the mid-range shots, and people don't want to watch it. Go try to get tickets during the regular season for a Thunder game, and I mean, you're going to be like, that's it? That's all I have to pay? And I'm going to watch the best team in the West? Like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? Cheap tickets, super easy to get in. But Anthony Edwards, there's a pretty good chance that multiple times you're going to see something that hardly anybody else in the league can do.
Yep.
He's going to do something insanely athletic that nobody else is going to be able to do. And you can't say the same thing with SGA. And so that's where I think there's more recognition of Anthony Edwards than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But clearly, just Ant in the series in terms of marketability isn't enough to get all the eyeballs that the NBA would want on the game.
I actually think that's problematic, for the record, that they've got these two young superstars and they're not. I don't know the full ratings from game 2, to be fair, but at least after the first game, it was way down. I actually think that's problematic because they got these two young guys that they can't push like that.
It will get better if the Wolves come back. If the Wolves come back and show they've got some, if they show they've got some teeth, I think the ratings will go up, especially if we get some back and forth between SGA and Anthony Edwards. Something, we build it up a little bit.
Spicy,
that'll bring in the eyeballs, I think.
For sure. Definitely interesting. And I think there's a little bit of story there on the other side too. It's just kind of hard to compare the two across, right? So with the Knicks Pacers and stuff like that too. But I think that's interesting. Maybe a little problematic, like I said, when we talk about the the league, marketing, face of the league, all that stuff that those guys together, regardless of circumstance, aren't able to push, but maybe it's people don't want to watch free throws. Maybe that's what it boils down to. I don't know.
And they're not exactly the most fun thing to watch.
They're not watching all that many though. People talk about the Thunder like they take 40 free throws a night.
Oh.
They don't.
They're one of the lowest teams in terms of free throw attempts per game, or lower teams anyway. It's just SGA.
It's legit just him. You're gonna watch Shai take 10 free throws, but you're not gonna watch anybody else do that. So.
And you're gonna be mad about every single one that he takes. That's what it is. All right, everybody, make sure you do subscribe right here to the channel and let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, is he a foul artist? And what do you think about his style of play now that he's the MVP? That's right, artiste. We got to be fancy about this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Again, subscribe right here. Until next time, see ya and stay safe.